Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce, the Forgiveness Doctor. And we already have somebody on a Skype call this morning, but before I take that call, let me give you the call-in number, 646-4169. Or you can go online and come into the chat room. So welcome, Michael.
Welcome to our show today, and we're delighted that you're with us. And, of course, our overriding topic with Forgiveness Radio is the theme of forgiveness. And out of our forgiveness work flows a whole series of topics and titles and different directions that we can take the work once we start to move the things out of our lives that didn't ever belong there in the first place. How do we get to getting and staying on track so that we don't tend to fall into old patterns? So our topic today is going to be about purpose and how purpose ties into personal power. And doing this topic came out of a conversation with David, who is from Heartland, and we spoke this morning about purpose, and so that's going to be the direction we had. We have a Skype caller? Let's see what's on Skype's mind before we start that.
Okay, Skype caller, you're on. Oh, he just disappeared. So I guess go for it.
Is David on with us?
David is on.
Hey, welcome, David.
Good morning, Michael. Hello, Jeanie. Just to let you guys know, the connection seems to be a little staticky and sometimes strong and sometimes a little weak. So I don't know if there's something that can be done on your end. Just wanted to give you that information.
Well, thank you for that input. We'll keep an eye on it and see what we can do.
Yeah, right there. That's really clear when you just now spoke. So whatever it is that you're doing now is much better. And there was some real static. There was some real static and breakup when Jeanie was speaking. So yeah, purpose, personal power, and commitment. That's just a fabulous one. And of course, you do have a DVD with that title in one of the workshops. And I don't know if that's on your schedule while you're in Florida to do this next week or not. And it is such a powerful, powerful workshop, as with all the work. And this one is, per our conversation this morning, is something that I'm recognizing and acknowledging that if I'm not tapped into that personal power and what that means and having an understanding of it, then I can be doing lots of other things that on the surface may look good and they may even feel good. And if that leg is not there to support it, then it has a tendency in order to disintegrate. And so that's one of the areas that has come up for me in the last couple of days. So, yeah, if you'd like to talk a little bit about purpose, personal power, and commitment, that sounds good.
Well, when I do the purpose workshop, which incidentally we are going to do in an intensive format this weekend here in Fort Lauderdale, we'll be doing a 2-day mini-intensive Saturday and Sunday. We'll be doing 9 in the morning until 9 at night on Saturday, and 9 until 6 on Sunday, and we'll be talking about the purpose, personal power, and commitment workshop as part of it. But there's a cute little story that I love to read at the beginning of the workshop, and when people are not in harmony with their purpose, they try to use strength as a substitute or makeup for the feeling of a lack of power, because if we're not on purpose, we can't have power, we can't have fulfillment. And so oftentimes in our ego states, we'll try to lord it over someone rather than function out of true personal power. And so this is a story, it's a transcript of an actual radio conversation between the U.S. naval ship and Canadian authorities off the coast of Newfoundland back in October of 1995. And the conversation was released by the Chief of Naval Operations. And it goes like this. The Americans start out with a broadcast that says, please divert your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid a collision. And the Canadians respond, recommend you divert your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid a collision. Americans, this is the captain of a U.S. Navy ship. I say again, divert your course. Canadians, I say again, you divert your course. Americans, this is the aircraft carrier USS Lincoln, the second largest ship in the United States Atlantic Fleet. We are accompanied by 3 destroyers, 3 cruisers, and numerous support vessels. I demand that you change your course. 15 degrees north, that is 15 degrees north, or countermeasures will be undertaken to ensure the safety of this ship. And the Canadians respond, this is a lighthouse, your call. And for me, that little story kind of illustrates what happens when we are not in tune with what our real purpose is, when we're not in tune with who we really are, and recognizing, one of the foundations of the whole Why Is This Happening to Me Again work is that we as human beings are part of an energy system, and energy systems don't bring through more energy by efforting. You've never seen the TV antenna get a better signal by sitting up there on the top of the roof going, strain, struggle, fight, let me see if I can get this signal better. Let's see if I can do it by working harder. Doesn't happen. The antenna brings in a better signal by aligning. If the antenna is off alignment, nothing will make that signal improve until the antenna is realigned. Some of you might remember the old crank that you had on a pole beside the TV, and when you were watching Channel 2, you turned it in one direction, and then when you wanted to watch Channel 4, you cranked it until the antenna aligned. Well, it's much the same with we human beings. When you realize that we are literally energy systems, then it's a requirement that you align with your purpose in order to have a full complement and a full flow of energy through your structure. And so our whole focus in that workshop on purpose, personal power, and commitment is that of tapping into and aligning with our purpose. I'll use the example in the workshop of imagine cancer thought I'd take an eye cell out of my eye and I put it up here on the lectern. Can the eye cell ever find happiness, fulfillment, joy sitting up there separate on the lectern? I think it's reasonable to assume that the eye cell is never going to experience anything like fulfillment, no matter how much of what you give it, You can give it all the money, power, sex, big houses, big cars, big bank accounts, big investments you want, until it knows itself as part of what it is, an eye, and it is seeing, it's not going to experience fulfillment. And, of course, we live in a culture that says, well, you're nobody, you're just a piece of protoplasm, you have no purpose, you have nothing in the world anyway, so it doesn't matter what you do, just go get a job and make money. And the truth is, each of us has a purpose, and overcoming the brainwash of the culture that says doing your purpose is not only stupid but impossible becomes a key to experiencing fulfillment. And so that's the direction we want to head, is looking at that whole idea of purpose in our radio broadcast today as a way to support people in looking at their forgiveness work and what their forgiveness work entails on any specific day. Jean, do we have that Skype caller back by chance?
We don't. There is somebody here, though. I'm going to go out and see who it is, so you keep on with the show.
Very good. Okay. So David, does that sort up any thoughts for you? Are you with us, David? Did we lose you? Okay.
David and Terry both are on.
Say again?
David and Terry both are on with us.
Oh, okay. I'm not hearing David come back. Hey, Terry, welcome.
Well, can you hear me now, Michael?
I can. You're there.
Oh, okay. So in response to your question, that having that alignment and knowing what my purpose is, if I am not in alignment with that, then I'm usually in alignment with what I believe is someone else's purpose. are based on what it is, that, as you were talking about, that the culture wants me to behave or to do a certain thing or to have certain things because that's in, quote, alignment, unquote, or at least in resonance with what it is that they want based on their projections of what power and what I use rather than power is that there's a force. I think empowerment, and power is something totally different than what force is. And I think that you talk about that in one of the workshops when we're coming from our dissociated mind or coming from our carbon-based memory. Are we coming from the intuitive, from my true essence of who it is that I am? When I'm in alignment with my true essence, I automatically know what it is that brings me joy or happiness because it's just the natural effect of what it is that I'm tuned into. There's nothing for me to work towards with the exception of being in alignment of what my true purpose and intention is. When you talk about what's the essence of a child, a newborn baby, to hold that a word to describe it, then what has to happen from that, as you explained, what has to happen to lose that sense of who it is that we are based on our true essence. So with the culture implementing and showing lots of different things, naturally my senses just pick it up and, this is what my purpose in life is. As I was talking with you earlier, there's a part of me that I've been told what my purpose is, like what it is that I'm supposed to be doing in this world. And I came to realize a couple of years ago that may just have been something that my dissociated and carbon-based memory made up as, this is what my purpose is, based on what it is that someone's told me my purpose is. So the work is, and I would love to be in Florida doing a mini workshop because this to me is a real major piece, and I invite people to do what they can in order to, if they're in the Florida area or can make it available, to come to the workshop. I remember the first time that I did that one, and this is going to be more than just a lecture. This is going to be the actual experience of tapping into and having the opportunity to experience personal power that we can. So that's what's been revealed to me today.
Fabulous. Terry, how are you doing this morning or this afternoon?
I am hitting another layer.
Tell us about it. What's happening?
I've got the increased elimination and all that kind of stuff, so I'm breathing a lot and eliminating.
So some good stuff up in your face. Well, that's certainly an important part of the whole process. And tying back, why would we be doing something with purpose when we're talking about forgiveness work? And that is that if we live most of our lives out of alignment with our purpose, then we accumulate all kinds of garbage energy that simply does not belong in our structures. And when we finally align, when we finally key in to what our real purpose is, one of the things that has to happen is that everything unlike our purpose has to splash up. When we tap into, for instance, the purpose of a relationship, we're going to have an awesome space and clear communication and fun and aliveness and joy, then what has to happen is everything that's unlike that has to come to the surface for healing. And what most people do when that stuff comes to the surface for healing is they do the same thing as our little story that we started out with about the captain of the Navy ship who wants to bully. And that tends to be what happens when the stuff starts to splash up, because we want to associate it with what's going on outside instead of recognize that it's something that's happening inside. When we associate it with something that's happening outside, then we get locked into and we get stuck in that pattern. And so forgiveness becomes a key part of embodying one's purpose. And for those who perhaps are new to the show or aren't familiar with the forgiveness process that we work with, we're working with the ancient Aramaic idea of forgiveness, which has nothing to do with letting other people off the hook because of something that's going on inside of you, because of something you're feeling or something you're experiencing. Forgiveness is how you go inside yourself and remove what never belonged within you in the first place. So when you begin to really, truly tap into your purpose, absolutely everything that's unlike this has to start to come to the surface. And as it comes to the surface, if it grabs you by the face, if it's an old power person dynamic, that a power person in our lives played some sort of a game out, and we come across that issue in our lives, we're going to tend to play out that power person dynamic. If we've developed certain ways of communicating in order to avoid feeling or dealing with what's going on inside of us, then the tendency is that we get lost. And the more our purpose comes to us, the more powerfully those things are going to come up. And we're going to do one thing or the other. We're going to go unconscious. We're going to get lost in them. We're going to buy into them. And we're going to play them out again and again and again, in essence, blocking our purpose and our aliveness. When you decide to own and you choose to forgive, then in that choice to forgive, if those issues surface and you start looking back at how they tie into power person dynamics and how it was modeled in your family system or in your life, then you choose to change your mind about it. And it requires stepping inside of yourself and removing the patterned way of doing whatever it is that you do that takes you out of your original essence, which is love. The whole foundation of this work is that each of us still carries within us the essence of the newborn, and that is the absolute awesome presence of love. That's the stuff we're made of. And as beings of love, we have a purpose, though the culture would deny it. The culture would pretend, no, we have a purpose. And basically, every authority in the world wants to run your life. Every authority going would love to have your personal power at their disposal. And so the messages come about how, the authorities, whether it be the church or education or business or government, wants to run your life. If you abdicate the throne, then you run into difficulties. Things don't work very well. But once you recognize that you as a being came in with a purpose, and we'll go over an exercise that is about how to tap into what your real purpose is, how to bypass the brainwash of the culture. Because the culture basically says, you're just a chunk of protoplasm. This is supposedly a scientific reasoning process. You're just a chunk of protoplasm, not much different than a cow, so we're going to run your life for you. And that tends to be the posture of many governments, many business leaders, many religious leaders, that we're not intelligent enough to take charge of our own lives, but rather we should be run by some other authority because we're purposeless anyway. And there's a really cool event that I heard about that really opens a space for recognizing that there is higher purpose. And it's a story about a man that was into energy and frequency and plants. And so he started to experiment with different sounds that would cause plants to grow. And he had worked out all these frequencies, all these sounds that he could play in his greenhouse, and it caused different plants and vegetables to grow in a more accelerated and more powerful way. And one day he had a friend who came to visit who was an ornithologist, who was into birds. And as he's playing these sounds for this friend, his friend starts to categorize each of the sounds that he's picked out. Lo and behold, each of the sounds were in the same frequency range as different songbirds. Each frequency that he found would accelerate the growth of plants, tied back into a frequency that a different songbird would sing. So this guy would tap into, that's the robin. Oh, that's what the cardinal does. I'm going through. So when you think about that, if a bird's song
has the purpose of causing a plant to accelerate growth. Is it possible that we humans could have less than a higher purpose? And I'd offer it is not. But that doesn't serve those who want to run our lives very well. So this work is about each individual recapturing their real true purpose and living out of it. And as Terry just shared, when you do that, and I know, Terry, you're working on putting together the workshops that you're doing, and maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what workshops are happening in Asheville. If anybody's listening from the Asheville, North Carolina area, Terry's over there, and very powerfully opening a new level of his purpose in teaching this work. And, of course, Terry, as you're seeing, when you tap into that and you work through the things that are around you, those layers of cleansing and healing surface and move. So I would offer it's probably your alignment with your purpose that kind of takes you in that direction. Did I hear Jeannie's voice in there?
Yes. Before Terry does that, are we going to go over the worksheet? Because we actually had someone in the chat room say, how do I find my purpose?
Okay. Well, let's get folks we'll take a few minutes a little later in the show, yes, absolutely, to go through the purpose worksheet. And
okay, so let me tell everybody then that's listening, they can go to whyagain.com, and over on the right-hand side, click on Download Worksheets and scroll down to the Power Personal Purpose Worksheet, and that way you'll be ready with us whenever we go over it. And then the call-in number is 646-200-4169.
And if you haven't been on the site before, it's whyagain.com, whyagain.com. So, Terry, tell us what your schedule is in Asheville.
Okay. Yes, and I had been observing myself now for quite a while and wondering, the stuff doesn't seem to be moving. That thought. So it's like I hit that level just last night, and it really started to move. So if I didn't have the teachings and understanding what I have now, I would say that I was sick when in fact I'm healing. And that's in alignment with the first workshop. Wednesday is the Why Again introduction workshop, and we'll go through the forgiveness worksheet. And then on Thursday, we'll do the stress management, the mind goal management sheet, getting the stress you need. And on Friday, we'll do healing through relationships. And then Saturday, there's an opportunity for folks to participate in the breath work and the still point breathing MindShifter full day experience.
Fabulous. Fabulous. And when we're talking about aligning with purpose, what we're looking at is that there are actually two levels of purpose for every human being. I think that we all share the same primary purpose. And then there's our secondary purpose, which is unique and individual. And then comes everything that follows. And the idea of aligning is that you bring your primary purpose, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, in alignment with your secondary purpose. We'll do that exercise to get clear. And then you bring that into alignment with the functioning filters in your brain, which in Aramaic were called Rachma Kuba. This brings intentions and perceptions into alignment with primary and secondary purpose. And then your goals, you bring your intentions and your goals into alignment with your primary, secondary purpose. And then following that come the perceptions that are output from the mind, the behaviors, and the words that you use. And all of those things energetically must align for you to be at 100% purpose. You know, if you've got a TV antenna sitting up on the roof of your house and I go up and bend 3 or 4 of the arms of the antenna, well, maybe 2 minutes ago you had a perfect signal, beautiful, clear picture, and beautiful, clear sound. Well, you don't have it anymore because just a couple of those little, it look like little sticks up there in the antenna get bent, and all of a sudden there's no alignment. And this picture gets weak, the picture gets snowy, the sound gets noisy. And what happened? There must be something wrong with the TV. Well, no. If the antenna is out of alignment, then what takes place is that the signal is weakened. There isn't a proper transfer of energy between the signal that's floating through the air for channel 2 or whatever it happens to be and the television set. So the signal doesn't, unless every piece of the antenna is properly aligned and the antenna is pointed in the right direction. If I go up and turn the TV antenna in 90 degrees out of alignment, all of a sudden you don't have a decent picture anymore. And it's the same. If any part of us is out of alignment with our primary and secondary purpose, then we're weak. We don't get a full complement of energy flowing through us, and that's when the organs start to fail. That's when the system starts to shut down, because it requires a proper alignment and proper keying into your real purpose in order to do that. One of the quotes I use in the workshop when we do it, if you listen to the DVD, starts out with William James, who's considered to be the father of modern psychology. And here's what William James says. He says, "Until thought is linked to purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment." In other words, if your thoughts are off purpose, man, you can go in 1,000 different directions. And in a codependence workshop, one of the little jokes I like to tell is the one about what's similar about God and the codependent, and that is that each one has a plan for your life, and there will always be people who will want to be pulling you in their direction for what their purposes are for you, as opposed to supporting you in yours. And our work at Heartland is to support each individual in uncovering and understanding their purpose and coming into alignment on every level. That TV antenna that you see up there with all those arms sticking out, there may be, 20 different little metal rods hanging out, and each of those is part of the receiving of the signal. Well, each of those is just like another component in the list that I used earlier, where I spoke of the things that need to be in alignment in order for you to have a full expression and experience of your power. So each of the arms and the antenna could be compared to, one, your primary, then your secondary purpose, and that brings in the talents that you have, the things you enjoy doing, your vision for the world, your intentions, your goals, your thoughts, your feelings, your words, your decisions or choices, the realities that bring forward the behaviors that you do, your diet. And all of those things have to stand in alignment. So when you get crisp and clear on an energetic level of what your purpose is, then anything that's unlike that purpose is going to have to be dealt with. It's going to have to surface. And so I'd like to just share a statement of my purpose and how I align myself whenever I'm going to do something. My basic question for every, especially important choices that I make, is to tap into and see if it aligns with and supports my primary purpose and secondary purpose. So again, we're going to talk about primary purpose in a few minutes, but I'll just share it for myself what my secondary purpose is, which is the outcome of the exercise we'll do in a few minutes. So before I do any behavior, I check out, does it fit? Does it support this purpose? And so that comes about as saying, I now use my being, compassion, caring, processing capacity, and ability to nurture people along with my communication skills and ability to synthesize information and gently confront people to learn and teach true forgiveness on a planet-wide scale. As my beloved and I travel the planet, every interaction we have inspires each person who hears us to contact and express their highest creative abilities and being, so that together we create a world where each supports every other in full expression of their true essence and purpose. Defining and setting plans and goals that support full achievement of this purpose and doing the things to carry it out while maintaining time for each other to play, keep romance alive, and heal together are easy, are automatic, and supported by Ruka and all of life. And, imagine if we lived in a world where instead of going and making war on people who didn't agree with us, we decided to support them in the expression of their true essence and purpose. how different would our world be? So for me, that's kind of my guidepost. Does this behavior, does this thought, does this word, does this attitude support me expressing and experiencing that purpose? If so, I'm in alignment. There's the key to personal power. If not, then I lose. I lose my power. I lose my ability to present to the world what I'm really about. Jeanie, would you like to share your purpose statement and how that aligns and how we coordinate in that regard?
Okay, it took, I worked on this for like 6 months or more before I came up with where it really sounded like a paragraph. So as you all are going to work on the process here in a little bit, and you think, mine doesn't sound that smooth, it takes a while. I kept working on mine for months before I got it down where it was kind of smooth. But it says, I now use my love for learning to search for truth, and then I use my teaching skills to share my understanding with those whose paths I cross. I now use my organizational, administrative abilities to serve God, not man. Whether I listen or speak, work or play, wherever I go on this earth, whatever relationships are created, I will stay committed, fully aware, responsible, and connected to God. I will radiate the love in me, be a clear voice to my calling, so that my life produces a longing in others to follow in the way of truth, to live for God, and to likewise make a difference, to have such an impact on this planet that we create the shift toward love and truth and harmony as God originally created us to live.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
One thing that I always put forward to people when you're working on your purpose statement is that you'll see things that fit together, like my love for learning. I learn really quickly. I absorb information and just take it in and learn real quick. So that's a gift that I have. And then one of the things I like to do is to teach. And so those two fit hand in hand like a glove. You know, I soak up the information and then I teach it to others. And so you'll see as you go through the exercise that there will be things like that fit perfectly. And those are the ones that you want to definitely include in your final statement.
Cool. Good input, Jeanie. And, you know, when you look at that alignment and how people who are not on purpose are out of alignment, it's an interesting example of that on planet Earth is the fact that human beings are the only creatures on the planet that die by the clock. And that is that the majority, a very significant, statistically significant number of heart attacks and deaths from heart attack happen at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Interestingly enough, there's no other creature that does that. Now, why would it be that a significant number of heart attacks and deaths happen at 9 o'clock on Monday morning? Because I'd offer that's the time when people go most out of alignment with their purpose. They go out and they get a job. They've been told, you know, you have no purpose, just go get a job and make money. And when we disconnect from our purpose and we're not in alignment, we're not in aliveness with what we're doing on a daily basis, we're just doing something for the sake of money, then the truth is we're in trouble because we're unhooking from the source of life. We're unhooking from the flow that we're designed to be in and designed to be connected to. And when we unhook, we start to wind down. We start to literally fall apart. And so it's a real key to aliveness, to joy, to creativity, and to the healing process. Of course, when things start to surface, it's not going to be Dr. Feelgood. There is a work to be done, and the work is working through and letting go of those things that are not comfortable, that are painful, that we hold, but many people try to live their lives to keep those things in abeyance, to keep them out of sight and pretend that they don't even exist when they're right there all the time. And as you align and bring the power through that comes from aligning everything with your purpose, then You're going to get things that need to be dealt with, and that's why Jeanie was suggesting that you work on, and that she worked on her purpose statement for at least 6 months, because you're going to clear out things that you've been brainwashed with by the culture. You're going to move things out of the way that you thought were part of you, but once you really get clear and you start aligning with your purpose, aren't part of you at all. So there'll be lots of opportunities to change that statement, to refine it, to align it, and to just get it to where it tweaks. And it's just like, there it is. That's the essence of my life, and that's what it's about. And so let's look at primary purpose. Jeanie, unless there are any questions in the chat room or any calls?
No, there's not. There's several people listening, and I was just telling one person how they could get on to, they're in the chat room, but they're not hearing you, so I was just explaining to them how they could get their volume on. And
cool.
But nobody's got questions right now. Nobody's got their hands up. So.
Okay. Well, the idea of...
take that back. We've got, David has a question. So, David, you're on.
Thank you, Jeanie and Michael. And one of the things that surfaced for me is when we talk about all of the work that's being offered through the Why Again, with all of the work, the downloads and just everything. Then it takes a while. I know that you guys have made that connection, that this isn't something that can just be learned in a few minutes. It's one of the reasons why we invite people to come to the intensives, and interesting enough that you're doing the Purpose Personal Power Commitment this weekend. And something that I learned through doing this work and through you, Michael, is the word authority. That word gets used a lot, and we talk about word links and connecting things and our regulatory speech, and there's so much that we want to communicate that I think that if you would talk about where the word authority comes from and how just exactly what it is that you described that Jeanie did and that you did and that other people are doing, that it takes a while. And the word authority, if there's another understanding of that, a clearer understanding of that, then I think it would make sense with why to even work on this purpose.
That's an excellent point, David, because every authority in the world, and if you look at the word, the root of it is author. Everyone out there wants to pretend to be your authority. You look in the papers, you listen to there's authorities today were saying, well, excuse me, most of those people who call themselves authorities aren't authorities on anything but how to line their own pockets and how to control other people. And, there's a section in my book on false prophets or false priests and true priests. And the way that you tell which is who gets the benefit. And the real work of healing, the real work of the ancients, the benefits always accrued to the person who was doing the work. They never accrued to the one who was guiding or supporting people in the work. Certainly the person who was guiding or supporting got a paycheck. They were supported. They received their due, but they did not pretend to be the author or the authority over another. Those who have no authority over themselves want to pretend that they are the authority over others, and oftentimes they're not much more than, $5 an hour bureaucrats who are being paid 100 times that much because they've pretended to be something that they're not. And so who's the author of your life? And, of course, if you were brought up in an authoritarian society, you very likely have a lot of resentment toward authority. Why do people have resentment toward authority? Because not knowing how their own minds work, people accept and set goals framed by others. And being unconscious of the fact that they're the one who have selected and set that goal, they think the authority is in control, the one who framed the goal for them. When the truth is, you're the only one who can set a goal in your mind and in your life. You're the only one who can open that space. And so if the authorities around you, if from the beginning you were trained that, Well, when somebody says jump, you have to say how high, and you watch how people respond to, people who obviously have zero authority and in many cases not very much intelligence, but they stand there like, the tin hat, and you must, and how most people, because they've been trained by authority, most people just jump and say, well, how high should I jump, sir? It's like, excuse me, you're not required to jump high for a $5 an hour bureaucrat. It's just not a requirement. But people who do that tend to have a lot of resentment toward authority. And so working through that resentment becomes a part of the process of healing as well, and recognizing that right next to the Creator, you're the author of your life, nobody else. You're the authority in your life. And as you recognize that, then you begin to teach yourself. You begin to research truth and research understanding so that you are qualified to be the author of your life. Probably one of the greatest atrocities done to us down through the ages and that we've bought into is that we've had hidden from us the fact that we are by nature creators. And virtually everybody wants to reach through our minds and create through our minds. You're the one who's designed to create through your mind, no one else. And I mean absolutely no one else. And when you align with the presence of love, your Creator, you will be guided as to what your particular purpose is in the world. And as you align with that, energies will start to show up from every corner of the planet to support you in doing that purpose. And that's the power that comes with really, truly aligning with who you are and what the game of life is really about. And I understand from Jeanie that we've got a caller or two, so let's pull on a caller.
We actually have two callers, and then we're down to about 15 minutes to go over the worksheet. So first I'm going to turn on area code 562. You're on the air. Who do we have, and where are you calling from? 562, you're on the air.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Hi. Hello?
Yes,
Hi,
who do we have?
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry about that. This is Steve.
Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Yeah, you were talking about forgiveness, and I think I'd be much further along on the spiritual path if I could just learn to let go and forgive. But my ego just has a difficult time doing that because I have so much pride. It's like, how could someone dare offend me? And I hold grudges, and I do want to change, but I don't know how to go about it because it's like if I forgive, I feel like I'm the one that's making the first move, or you know what I'm saying?
Okay, you're right on track, Steve. That's a great question, and the forgiveness that we're teaching has nothing to do with the forgiveness that you've been taught by the world is forgiveness. You've been taught by the world, from the sound of it, as most of us were, that forgiveness is about, I have something going on inside of me that's painful, and I'll let you off the hook. And, gee, if I do that, then I end up becoming more of a victim.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. And we're not talking about that at all, Steve. What we're talking about is the original Aramaic idea of what we call true forgiveness. And true forgiveness is if you and I interact and I'm in pain because there's something in me that's out of alignment with my true purpose. There's something in me that I haven't dealt with. And I have absolutely nothing to forgive you for because I'm out of alignment. Forgiveness, as was taught in the Aramaic, and you can go to our website, which is www.whyagain.com, whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side you'll see a thing that says Download Worksheets. Download the 7-step forgiveness worksheet and the chapter 24 from my book and start doing that worksheet. And here's what that true forgiveness process does, is if you're in pain, if you're in turmoil, you don't ever think about forgiving someone else. You don't ever think about forgiving yourself. You apply the forgiveness process to your pain and turmoil to remove that pain and turmoil. And as you do, you're uplifted. Nothing to do with anybody else or somebody getting something over on you. Because somebody shows up and shows you a part of yourself that's out of alignment and therefore is causing you harm, you get to receive the gift of removing that which is causing you harm. You benefit.
What's the website again?
The website is www.whyagain.com.
Okay.
The title of my book, and you can download the book from the website, whyagain.com. The title of my book is Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And in that book, we go through the whole forgiveness process.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, delighted. And, of course, you can also order from the website. You can order DVDs, CDs of all the things that we're talking about.
And what's the name of the show?
The name of the show is
MindShifters Radio.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, and we have another call. And area code 229, you're on the air. Who do we have, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jay, and I'm in the chat room, and I'm the one that I don't have a purpose.
Oh, okay, but you say that you're already through step 3. You're ahead of us.
Yes. Well, part of, step 1 and step 2 is if you, I think, go pretty fast as long as you're in touch with your reality. Things,
yes.
Characteristics and abilities that you have, and 10 things that you enjoy doing are pretty basic. Your vision of the world.
It's interesting. It's interesting, Jay. I've seen people take 3 years of repeatedly coming back to Heartland before they actually can fill those steps out. They are so suppressed by the so-called authorities in their lives.
Well, I am semi-enlightened. I just can't figure out where to go with it. I guess.
Okay. I'll tell you what. We're going to walk through those 3 stages and then express what to do about that, or what to do with it. And we'll probably end up carrying this conversation on through tomorrow's show, same time, same station tomorrow, about purpose, and see how that all unfolds.
Yeah, we're down to about 11 minutes, so we will probably definitely have to take that over.
Okay.
So did you have a specific question about the worksheet?
Well, I was just going on to, so when you combine, it gets a little, not really complicated. So you combine steps 2 and 3 to make a,
I'll tell you what. You are a step ahead of us. So how about I'll go over the worksheet now, and then we'll tell you what to do with those 3 steps. Okay?
That would work for me.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for the call. So for those who have the worksheet, you'll see that there's a step 1, there's a part 2, and a part 3. And the first step is to look at the unique talents and characteristics that you have. And when we say unique, we don't mean you're the only one with those talents or characteristics. We mean that you have your own unique way of doing it. So, for instance, I do a lot of lecturing. So one of my unique talents would be lecturing. I mean, anybody on the planet can do workshops or lecture. So it's not something that's mine only, but I have my own unique way of doing it. So that would be one of the things I'd put on that list. I love to synthesize information. So, synthesizing information would be another talent that I have. And so that would be the first section, is a list of 10 unique characteristics or talents or capabilities that you have. And then the second part of the worksheet is to make a list of 10 things that you enjoy doing. We're all unique and individual. There are things I probably love to do that you'd look at and go, that guy must be crazy. Why would anybody enjoy doing that? And I'm sure there are things that you probably enjoy doing that I'd say, thanks, but I'll pass. It just doesn't hold any appeal for me. So we each are unique in that regard. And so, it's as though the Creator really built into us a way to get to understanding our purpose just by looking at the capabilities that we have. And so the third step, now that you've got a list of the things you have as unique talents, the things you enjoy doing, is that you were given a unique ability to envision the way the world could work. Of course, this is the thing that most adults kind of beat out of us by the time we were 4 or 5. Live in the real world, kid. You can't be that utopian. You can't, I didn't give you that $1 so you could go and buy ice cream for the kid next door. Be real about this. And so the child who's told that has stifled in them the natural desire to share, and so will oftentimes end up turning into someone who appears to be rather selfish, because their innate knowing that we are in this together. One of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein, he says that if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion. And, the truth is there's only one of us. We are all cells in one being. And when we start recognizing that and functioning out of that, we'll realize our higher purpose. And so the third step is you have an ability to envision the way the world could be working. It's often what the pragmatist would say, well, that's utopian and not possible. Well, go for the utopian vision. How do you know in your heart of hearts the world really could be working? And that's the third step in the worksheet. So you've got those 3 sections filled out, or you're starting on it, and we'll spend more time on this tomorrow. Actually, I'm just realizing that tomorrow is our WWNN show where we can't do call-ins. And so we'll probably not actually go through the rest of the worksheet tomorrow. We'll have a different topic tomorrow. But on Wednesday, we'll come back to and do more questions and do more work with the worksheet process, as I realize, because we don't take calls on Tuesdays because of the public broadcasting on the land station here in South Florida. We'll probably put this particular conversation on hold until Wednesday, and we'll come back to it and get back to purpose. So you've got those 3 things, and now you want to look at how can you align those 3 things: your talents, the things you enjoy doing, and your vision. When you bring those 3 things into alignment, you now are empowered to bring about the kind of personal empowerment that it takes to bring that into expression in the world. Now, you may be the only one on the block who has an interest in that. That's great. It's always taken only one person to make the change in the world that the world needs to make. And as you recognize that, you have the ability to be the one who makes that kind of change. You have the ability to align your life so that you become a force in the world that changes the world. And each one of us has that capability, though every authority who wants to usurp your power would tend to say, oh, you're just one person, you can't do anything anyway. Just shut up, go get a job and make money. And so as you recognize that you have the true ability to express a higher purpose than what the rest of the world around you is doing, you become the kind of force that changes the world. And it's an awesome opportunity that each of us has, because in essence we each have as much personal power when we align with our purpose as any human being that has ever existed. And on Wednesday, when we open the show, we'll start talking and get into the personal power aspect of this conversation. So, Jeanie, any callers or anything in the chat room?
Yes, someone was asking what is WWNN. So if you want to give a little more information about our broadcast on tomorrow, plus everybody can pick it up if you go to our website, www.whyagain.com. Right at the top of the front screen says MindShifter Radio, and how you can log on to both the Earth Angels Radio and the WWNN radio station. But, Michael, you might want to just give a little information on that.
Sure. On Tuesdays, we do a combined broadcast of this show, and we do a 1-hour show from 2 to 3 o'clock on Tuesdays on WWNN, which is a land-based station, a 50,000-watt station in South Florida. And so anybody from, up in Martin County, up in northeast coast of Florida, all the way down to Miami can listen at 1470 a.m. to our broadcast on Tuesdays. because it is a land station and they don't have the liability set up to take live callers, we don't do any call-in process during that 1-hour show on Tuesdays. But you can tap into that. And some of the other things that are going on, by the way, we are in South Florida, and we'll be at Unity of Pompano Beach in Pompano, Florida, tonight from 7 to 9:30 through Friday night at 7 to 9:30. So each evening, today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be doing a free series of workshops at Unity of Pompano. And Unity of Pompano is south off of Atlantic Boulevard on 13th Avenue, just, about a mile and a half east of I-95. If you want to join us, you'd be welcome. They're free open series of workshops, and we'll start at 7 o'clock tonight and each night this week. Also this weekend, we're going to be doing a mini intensive, and the intensive will be all day Saturday. We'll start at 9 in the morning, go till 9 at night on Saturday, and 9 until about 6 on Sunday. And we'll be looking at purpose, and we'll be doing it in a process-oriented format. We'll look at stress and how stress is created and how that ties into purpose. We'll be looking at the why is this happening to me again, forgiveness process, and also doing MindShifters and still point breathing. So that'll be a mini intensive that we'll do this weekend. Our 5-evening workshops are free workshops, as 99% of our travel workshops are. This mini intensive will be a workshop in Fort Lauderdale, and the cost for the 2 days is $250 if anybody wants to come and join us for that intensive. If you're up there in that cold northern clime, you might just catch a last-minute deal on a flight to Fort Lauderdale and come and join us for the weekend, or come and join us for the rest of the week. Also, you can download the book if you want the instructions on the forgiveness process. And, you know, we haven't talked a lot about it today, but you can go to the website, www.whyagain.com. That's whyagain.com. And you can download the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, free. There's several videos, audios, all kinds of materials you can look at to come into alignment. If you haven't downloaded the worksheet yet, I would suggest that you do that, and we'll talk about it more on Wednesday when we go into our show on Wednesday. Anything else we should be announcing, Jeanie?
I can't think of anything right off. I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay, well, if Ken happens to be listening, we have a dear friend from many, many years ago who's actually just arrived at Heartland. Heartland is kind of starting to crank up for the summer.
And
Heartland's
David,
getting
you're
ready
on. Ken with.
Yeah, he is. Am I on? Are we on? Here he is.
Yeah,
You are.
I'm here. Very nice to hear you.
Welcome,
Hey, Ken. Delighted that you're there, and I was just starting to share with people that Heartland's starting to crank up, and you showed up to spend a couple of weeks to help us to get the facility ready for our summer intensive season, and that's going to start in July. We'll be starting a 65-day intensive, but I tried to catch you a little bit today, and I understand you just arrived in the last hour or so we welcome you to Heartland. We're glad you're there, and we're glad you're willing to come and help us do some work projects to get Heartland ready for our intensive season. It's a delight to have you there.
Well, thank you very much for letting me be here. I am blessed to have the opportunity to put some love into my efforts here.
Awesome. And if you want to check out our schedule for the intensive season for this summer, we'll start on July 8th with a 9-day codependence to interdependence, and then unfold a 65-day process. It's made of 6 different modules, from codependence to interdependence to intuitive development, to laws of living. There'll be a whole series of intensives we'll be doing, and we'd be delighted if you want to check out the website. And this work is about supporting you and having the best year yet of your eternal life. May your day be blessed.